Define some tasks in your life, in your day, which are not urgent and not important, but you are engaged in them. Okay, watching shows. And our problem with the shows is it's not like one show, it's one season, then another season. Then we like this one person in the show. And if he or she is appearing on another show, then we want to move on to that show. What else? Not important, not urgent.
Like using social media.
Yes. Yeah, being on Insta, using social media. What else? Okay, let me give you some examples on that. All the non productive activities, social media, entertainment, gossip, all time wasters. Something which is not going to be beneficial in this life, if you don't do it for days and days, weeks, months, years, it won't impact your life. Yes, there might be peer pressure telling you that, oh, you have not seen this, oh, you're not over there, you have the FOMO, but otherwise, it's not important. Let's try to see someone, a personality of a person who is heavily engaged in the time wasters. What kind of a person he or she will be? Experts say this person is going to be into procrastination. And because of that, the rest of his task for the day or the life are going to be squeezed. And this person is going to be totally irresponsible, fired from any form of work. No one would want to depend on them. In fact, he or she is going to be dependent on others. You'll be just calling your friends, can you share your assignment with me? I'm just left with 1 hour and I have to submit it. I didn't get time to do it. And you are just doing everything at the last minute, the deadline thing. So, usually, when we are not able to meet the deadline, this is because we live in this time wasters paradigm and we keep wasting time because we are like, I'm not getting any ideas. I don't feel like studying. And we waste hours and days and weeks. And ultimately, when the deadline reaches, now we are rushing. And when we're rushing, then this is how we create a lot of crisis. How do we manage procrastination? That is an important thing to understand. First of all, what you do is whenever you have a bigger task, you break it into baby steps, smaller tasks. That helps. Then you need to set some clear, realistic goals for yourself. For example, you tell yourself, okay, today I'm going to do these two things. And then you also set a certain time for those things. And you use 2 minute rule. You tell yourself, okay, I'll take a break for 2 minutes if I don't feel like doing something, and then I'll get back to the work I'm supposed to do. Then you can also use a timer technique. Like when you are doing your work, you put up a timer and you say, till the time I've set for this task, I'm going to keep working no matter what happens. Then you can also create a to do list with your priorities, that what is it that is most important and it should be done during the day. You need to also eliminate all the distractions. When you are doing something important, you put away your phone. You can even give it to your mom. You tell her that for 2 hours, I'm going to be completing my deadline, my assignments, or I'm working on something. So please take away my phone. Or you put it on a silent mode somewhere in your closet and you only pull it out once your work is done. And you set some deadlines. Okay, reward yourself when you complete the task that you're supposed to be doing. And then you also visualize the benefits of completing the task. Usually, what happens is when someone is procrastinating, they know that they have to complete a task within a certain deadline. There is a heavy load on their heart. I mean, they are not working, but they're not even happy or not even relaxing. So then you have to imagine that if I complete my today's task, the baby step for a day, then I will feel so enlightened, so relaxed. Practice self compassion because sometimes when we are struggling with our time, our inner critique is very, very sharp, and that critique is very judgmental. So we are judging ourselves, we are cursing ourselves, we are labeling ourselves, telling ourselves what a loser you are. And that enhances or increases that procrastination. So, what you need to do is practice that self compassion, telling yourself it's okay. Once in a while, everyone does that. Even I sometimes, when I overwhelmed with a lot of tasks, I even give myself a realistic goal for procrastination. I tell myself, okay, you don't feel like doing anything, just relax for okay 1 hour. And after 1 hour, I tell myself, that's okay, you wasted that time, but maybe you needed some break, you needed some unwinding. Now you need to get back to work. So then it becomes easier to come out of the procrastination. And you can also find some accountability partner, someone who is a good friend and shows some compassion, can also like be very realistic with you that where you're procrastinating. And you can also reflect on the reasons for the procrastination. Okay, let's move to the next paradigm. This one is a little bit trickier. I would want to see if you can catch some of the examples for this paradigm. Now, this paradigm is the next one, which is urgent and not important. Something that you have to do urgently, but it's not very important. These are the interruptions that we have. The phone call or the surprise visits in Pakistan is very common, and the guests that they show up when you have a very important plan at hand. So usually what happens is, I'll tell you how usually these phone calls, they are interruption, and these are urgent things, but sometimes they're not important. Let's say you made up your mind, you had a goal for next 2 hours, and you thought, I'll sit down and complete my work or study. And the moment you sat down, your friend, best buddy called you. Obviously, this is urgent, you will pick up her phone. When you talk to her, apparently she didn't have anything important to talk about. It was just a chit chat time. She was taking a break from her studies. She needed company. And she asked you, are you busy? And we are busy. Yes, we are sitting down to study. That is an important deadline for the day. But how do we usually respond? We're like, oh, no, nothing, nothing, carry on. Why did you call me? That's okay, I will study later. That's okay, that's fine. And we just waste hours and hours just talking and talking. And once we put down the phone, then we move back to the procrastination phase, because now we don't feel like studying. Now feel like there are other things to do, and I've wasted 2 hours. And now we are also not happy about what our friend did to us. But honestly, it was not our friend, it was us, where we did not know how to handle that situation. So, people who live in this paradigm are said to be yes men, people pleaser. Again, your rest of the paradigms are going to be squeezed. Such people have short term focus. They are always into crisis management because they are always trying to please people at the expense of their time, and then they're not able to complete their work, and then they're rushing around. They feel like a victim, out of control, and their relationships are also very shallow. So, how do they manage things? For one thing, they need to learn how to say no. They also need to start delegating some of their tasks to other people, like doing a group work. That is where we also become people pleaser. Let's say there are 5 people who are supposed to work on a project, and usually everyone dumps it on one person, and the rest of them are just relaxing. And we don't know how to delegate the task and how to actively engage everyone in it. Now, a lot of people, when I tell them that you need to learn to say no, and they're like, it will look so rude if I say no to my best friend or mom or dad or anyone for that matter. So I tell them there are smart ways of saying no. Like the example I just gave you, you don't just simply pick up the phone once you do your work and then you pick up the phone. Now, the question that comes in our mind is, what if there is some sort of a crisis where she needs my help? Well, if there's a crisis, you train people around yourself to send you a message. My phone keeps buzzing the whole day. Known numbers, unknown numbers. For example, right now I'm taking your class. I'm getting messages on my phone constantly. And I just keep the phone on silent mode when I'm working. And if there is something extremely urgent and people send me a message like that, my usually response is send me a voice message or written message. And if it is urgent, only then I'll be able to attend. And otherwise, I will definitely attend to your query, but after I'm done with my work. And initially, we feel this fear that maybe people will not like it or they will think that we are rude. But when they understand that you are trying to live a principled life and you accomplish a lot of tasks in your time, then they give you room and they sort of adjust with you. So, this is what we need to learn. So, don't be a yes man. And how do you do that? Again, know your priorities and your goals. You need to just pause for a while before responding to anyone. And you need to be direct, but yes, polite with people. You need to offer them alternatives. Let's say in the same example, you did pick up the phone. The moment you realize that she just wants to chit chat, but you have important thing at hand, you can very politely tell her that, look, I'm just completing my task. Can I call you back in 1 hour? Or you can tell her that I can talk to you shortly for 5 minutes and then I need to get back to my work. It is important for me today. Or you can say that maybe you can chit chat with someone in the group who might be free, but I will call you back again. You can say, or we can hang out over the weekend for the cup of coffee. So, like, you are adding a nicer element, a softer element to your no. And for this, you also need to practice saying no in small situations, so that ultimately you develop yourself. One example I can give you is that I noticed a few years back, this happened with me. I noticed that wherever I would go and I would meet people, and I'm a very social person. So I noticed that everyone would offer me tea, cup of tea, and I would not be able to refuse them. I thought it would look discourteous that I say no to people. So I would end up drinking 7, 8, 9, 10 cups of tea every day. And that was too much for me, for my health. So then I started cutting down. Whenever people would offer me, I'll say, no, I'm so sorry, I'm done for the day. And they will put up a pressure, social pressure on me. Pee lane, just this one cup. In Pakistan, in some places, people feel like disrespectful that you refuse their cup of tea. It's funny, but this happens. I would either bring in an alternative. I will say, I would not have tea, but I will have some herbal tea if you have, or I will have a glass of water. I will distract them by asking for something else. And I noticed that the moment I accomplished myself with this standard of saying no to tea, multiple cups of tea, I was able to say no in some other places for some other more important tasks. So recognize the cost of saying yes. You have to understand that how it messes up our life. And the younger you are, the more problematic things are, because a lot of time you notice that if you discuss with your parents, they just tell you, why can't you just simply say no? And you're like, Mom, Dad, this sounds so rude. How can I say so? So use the I don't strategy instead of I can't. What's the difference in that? When you're saying I can't, you feel like a helpless victim. But when you say, I don't think so, I can talk at this moment. So that means you're drawing a line and you're telling them, this is not appropriate and I won't be doing it. Then you respectfully assert your boundaries. You reframe your no as a positive thing. You seek a constructive feedback. And again, you have to practice self compassion and acknowledge the value of being very selective. That is what we have to do. We have limited time and we have more priority tasks that we need to focus on. Okay, let's look at the next paradigm. The next paradigm is going to be the urgent and the important one. Any examples in this? Something which is urgent and something which is also important.
Prayer.
Yes, excellent. Our 5 daily prayers, your deadlines, all the things now they come in this paradigm are the crisis problems, like the pressing problem, the deadline driven projects. And yes, a certain percentage of this can also include accidents. Today is the last day of filling up the form. Sometimes you have to submit your project. This is the last day of buying something or fixing something. So people who live in this paradigm, they are named as slackers. Again, the rest of the paradigms are going to be squeezed. These are the people typically who look very stressed. They have a burnout. And again, they are constantly in the crisis management mode and always putting out fires. They are rushing with their time and they're usually laying the blame for their being in crisis, their being in an urgent and important the paradigm on other people, on circumstances, on traffic, our teachers just loading us with some tough work, or our parents. So there's a long list of blame game that goes with this. So people who live in this paradigm, they have skill and will gap. Like they know they have to be doing it. Like sometimes, you have to pray and you keep sitting and you're thinking, yeah, I need to get up and pray. Yes, I need to get up and pray. Okay, let me just look at my Insta. Okay, then let me complete this work. I'll go and perform wuzu. I'm done wuzu, and let me think. There is another thing. Maybe I can clean my closet. So they are just either sitting or in bed or just thinking, and they're not able to get up and do it. We need to avoid some escape activities in this column. Then we come to the last one, which is not urgent, but it is important. Now, if you notice that not urgent is very much linked to the urgent one, and I'm going to explain it in a minute. So, non urgent is a paradigm where our plannings for the day, for the week, month, year, life lies, our studies, our weddings or any wedding in our family, our relationships, all the new opportunities. And this is a paradigm where 80-20 principle resides. And if you focus on this paradigm in our life, that when things are very important for us, and according to that, Iman and Amal is Soleh and like practicing Haq and Sabr. So, what we do is we plan. We plan our whole life. We plan our studies. We plan our weddings. We plan our relationships. We look for the new appropriate opportunities. So ultimately, these things, when they become urgent, the same things are going to fall into that urgent paradigm. They are going to be important. Then they won't become pressing problems. They only become pressing problems when we keep postponing. For example, you were supposed to submit an assignment, okay? And your teacher has given you a deadline and it was a week away. When it was not urgent, it was important, you did not plan anything. You kept saying, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow." So next day you didn't feel like doing it. "I'll do it tomorrow. It's okay. I still have 5 days to go." The next day you keep telling yourself, "I have another 3 days to go, 4 days to go." And ultimately you come to the last day. And on the last day, when you're trying to do the assignment, you realize it's very tough and you're only left with 3 hours to do it. And then you also realize your internet is not working, it's giving you trouble. Now again, you're blaming the teacher, you're blaming the country or the internet and your luck and whatnot, and you're so frustrated. And a lot of these people, when they move into the urgent and important column, they sometimes do accomplish what they're supposed to, but they're completely exhausted and they have also exhausted all the resources and even people around them. Another example would be when you're in the not urgent paradigm. Let's say it was your cousin's wedding and you recently went to a Quran class where the teacher talked about simplicity and not being into the luxurious kind of life. And you started to acquire that persona of being simple and humble and not spending too much money. Your mom asks you that, should I get some dress made for you, and you're like, "No mom, I can wear the one which is hanging in my closet since last 2 years." 5 days before the event, your sister, your cousin, or a friend of yours, she showed you her dress, which was so latest and very nice and all flashy. And you pulled out your dress from the closet and looked so shabby and worn out and out of style because styles now change so rapidly. You are so angry and you go to your mom and then you blame the mom. "Mom, I'm not going to wear this. This doesn't look nice." And now you're rushing your mom. Now you enter into the urgent and important paradigm where now it has become a pressing problem. The wedding is maybe 4 days away, 5 days away. Now you're checking online. Now you're crying. You are throwing tantrums. "I'm not going to go to this wedding. And I feel like I am not important for my family. Nobody focused on me. Look, my sister, my friends, they're so lucky. They have nice dresses." And your mom has a jaw drop thinking, "I asked you." And you would be like, "But you should have forced me. You forced me on so many things. And why didn't you actually focused on this thing?" So people who live in this not urgent and important paradigm, which is the paradigm with 80-20 principle, this is where they feel there is balance in their life. They have vision, they have balance, they have discipline, they have control. And whenever there are few crises, they will be able to manage. The accidents, they will be able to manage. I remember I had prepared very well for a talk I was supposed to deliver at a seminar, and I left earlier, much earlier, so that I have ample time to settle myself in that venue. And the moment I parked my car, I realized I left my notes back home. Though I remembered everything, Alhamdulillah, since I planned it well, I went ahead of time, it was close to my house, I rushed back, brought in my notes, and Alhamdulillah, I was still in time. So when you have 80-20 principle at hand, usually you are able to manage the crisis as well. And for the rest of the things, you are very well disciplined and in control. So for this, you need to plan, you need to prioritize, and then you need to produce. So this is how there are various ways of looking at this metrics. When you are into time wasters, you are into low intention, high impact metrics, low intention, low impact metrics, or high intention, low impact. You need to be actually into high intention and high impact metrics. What you need to do is minimize your time wasters and upgrade yourself for coming out of this tension of being pleasing people. First of all, maintain and prioritize your tasks and then run those tasks. This is a very important table that you can make for yourself, how you can organize your work. And this is from a very famous book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. So, what you do is first you identify your roles, like I'm a daughter, I'm a student, I'm a friend, I'm a sister, and then goals for those roles. And then you divide them into monthly, weekly, and then ultimately coming to a daily baby step. And that is in a very digestible way you can maintain it. This is how then you can mark it on your calendars, whatever you've planned to do. You need to have some phone rules. If you don't have phone rules, then you're going to be really messed up. I'll finish off with this story. It's a famous story, you might have heard it. The big rocks or the big stones. There was a teacher who was in the classroom teaching the students about the importance of time. So, towards the end, what he did was bring up a jar loaded with big rocks, and he placed it on the table and asked the students, would we be able to fill in anything else? And the students said, of course not, it's loaded. He brought in the same size jar with the gravel in it, and he started pouring the gravel, and it slid into the empty spaces within those big rocks. The students were amazed that there was space enough for the gravel. And then the teacher asked again, do you think anything else can fit in? The student said, no, absolutely not. Now the teacher brought in another same size jar with the sand, and he started pouring the sand, and the sand again slid very easily into the empty, small, minute empty places between the big rocks and the gravel. The teacher again asked that, do you think anything else can fit in? And the students now, they were a little skeptic and they said, maybe yes, but they did not know what. And now the teacher brought in a same size jar with water in it, and he started pouring, and the water started getting absorbed and sinking in. The teacher asked the students, what is the lesson that we learned? And they gave multiple answers. Someone said that, there's space for everything, or we do things like this, or we can squeeze in more things. But the basic answer was put in the big rocks first. That is the 80-20 principle. If you have the big rocks in your day, what am I supposed to do? And there's no compromise on them. So first you have to finish those tasks. Then if you are procrastinating for a while, or if you are becoming a yes man to your friends or the people around, or you're managing some crisis, things will be fine in your life. But if the big rocks are not put in, you put in the water, you put in the sand or gravel first, then your life will be totally messed up.
Nothing that I want to ask, but I really like this topic today. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. So I hope that you will be able to manage your time, and in these last special nights, make a lot of du'as for yourself, me, your family members, the ummah, that we are able to be productive with our time, and we are able to manage our time and be answerable in a very healthy manner in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and recite a lot of du'as. Okay, I'll finish off with the dua. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.